everyone. Welcome in. Hashtag doing a Linda interview. And I want to welcome everybody in. I want to welcome everybody who's watching the replay. Thank you so much. I'm so excited today, as you can tell. Let's welcome in some of our guests, our people in the chat. We've got Ursula. Hello, Ursula. Hello, Miss Jeannie. Hi, Margie. Hi, Jeannie T. Hello, Elma. Hello, Lorna. Hello, Roberta. So how this is going to go, guys, is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be able to concentrate on the chat because I want to concentrate on my guest. I will keep an eye on the chat as I did when I did my previous interviews. I want to thank you all for coming today. I'm so excited. Can't begin to tell you. And I'm going to bring my guest up, which we all know is the wonderful Salena Baca. And we'll get to know her a little bit, shall we? And hello, my sunflower Ashley. How are you? I hope you're all well. So I'm going to bring up Salena and we'll make a start, shall we, guys? But thank you so much for being here. So welcome in, Salena. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here. So whereabouts are you in the US?
I live in Oregon right now, so over on the West Coast.
Wow. Is it hot there?
Well, it's Oregon, so it's like a hot cold. We had hail just a few weeks ago, and sometimes it's cold and sometimes it's hot. It's kind of all over. It is. You roll the dice every day. Yeah. Yesterday I was wearing a sweater. Today it's a tank top. You just can't know.
I know it's like that here in the UK. So I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit, just give us a little bit about your background within the crochet community and how you got us with the American.
Long name, I know. American Crochet Association. It's so long. It's a mouthful.
I know. I thought, when you just have a blank moment, you think,
There's too many letters. It's too many syllables. I just say ACA. We can just say ACA from here on out. I won't test you.
Oh, please don't. I'll fail.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Salena Baca. I started out as Salena Baca Crochet, Baca Creations. I actually used to live in the United Kingdom. My husband was in the service. Loved England so much. I never wanted to leave. I would move back today. It was just my favorite.
Aww.
So my husband was in the service. We moved a lot. When we moved to England, I had my son. I've crocheted my whole life. And when we lived there, I just really wanted to experience as much as England as possible. We were only there for a little over 3 years.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of exploring and crocheting on the side, but crochet just kind of, it overtook. I started teaching people and then writing patterns and just kind of, it went from being a hobby to turning into more of a career, which was fine. I really enjoyed it. It was such a natural progression.
And it keeps you at home as well, doesn't it? Unless you've got to go out and teach people.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it did so many things for me. I learned to crochet at the age of 5. And so it was always just this hobby for me. But when you move a lot, especially to lots of different locations, crochet for me was a way to meet people. Or, so I'd meet people who did crochet, or I'd meet people who wanted to learn. So I kind of made my own community that way. And, I started selling things on the side and then teaching people and then writing patterns. So it's been a career of mine since 2009, but I didn't intend it to be. It just happened that way.
It just happened, yeah. And
it
sometimes,
really did.
Yeah, so it's nice that it kind of just progressed from there, isn't it? And sometimes that's the best way, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And my dad was in the services, so I travelled around a lot as well when I was younger. So I
So you know
understand.
what that
So
lifestyle is like.
oh yeah, I do. So where about in the UK were you?
So we were stationed at Lakenheath, and Lakenheath is, do you know where that is?
Yes, I think I do. Is it? It's down south, isn't it? Down.
Oh, I'd have to look at the map. I know it was nearest, I think Bury St. Edmund was our closest
Yes, it's down
town. So like,
south.
okay,
Yeah,
like 45 minutes from there. Okay.
yeah, it's
It's
down
been a
south.
while
Yeah.
since I've looked at the map where it is in relation, but
I
yeah.
know. Yeah, I know it's down south. I'm up north near Liverpool
Okay.
and Manchester.
Oh, way up north.
Yes,
Way up north.
way
Wow.
up north. Yeah. So I'm in a place called Warrington, and I'm between half an hour to Liverpool or half an hour to Manchester. So I'm in between.
Oh, wow. Wow. I wish I could have spent more time there. I just feel like it wasn't enough time. I visited so many different places. I saw so many different things, but it wasn't enough. I
know.
need more time.
And that's something we're always complaining that we want more of. We want more hours. We should have 48 hours in one day. Why can't
I
that
need
happen?
it. I know. I think we say that a lot, especially in the yarn world. There just isn't enough time with our
No,
yarn.
there
But
isn't.
also the places that we love, there isn't enough time.
No. I'm just going to say a quick hello to everybody coming in. Yes, thank you so much for being here. We've got 21 in the chat, which is really nice. Don't forget the thumbs up, guys, as I always say. But thank you, everybody, for being here. So the first question that I've got for you is, what was the deciding factor that made you start your channel?
Well, I've had a few channels over the years. And I think the one that I'm most proud of is the one at the American Crochet Association. I started that one back in 2015, in tandem with starting the American Crochet Association. And the reason I started it was that I just wanted I wanted a source of crochet education that was in line with how I think about crochet.
Yes.
I love that the internet just allows everyone to provide their own perspectives and information. And for me, I wanted a channel that showed a very specific progression of crochet. So we started out with just some basic stitches and then showed a progression of advanced stitches. And my hope in that was just that more people would get to know, like, and trust the American Crochet Association.
Yeah, that's good. I'm actually in the process of doing the lessons.
Yes.
I'm in the process. I've done 1, 2, and 3. I've got 4 and 5 to do.
Oh, how do you like them?
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah. So everybody's saying hello to you and wishing you well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
So on to the next question. What was the first thing you made, and do you still have it?
Yeah. So, like I said, I learned to crochet when I was 5. I went to this hippie Waldorf school. I grew up in Hawaii. And so everything that we did was, we would put things into action. We would learn, but we would do something with it. So when we learned to crochet at 5 years old, I don't know what my first project is, but I definitely have my first few. So I have a case for my flute, my recorder.
Yes.
And I don't know why I've kept this. I've had this for 35 years, but there's just something about it that I don't know. I couldn't give it up. And now I kind of show it as like a teaching tool. Like, look, this is where I started. So like everybody starts somewhere. And the second thing was we did a school play, the 3 Billy Goats Gruff. Oh. We all had to crochet goat horns. So these are my goat horns.
They're brilliant.
I can't get rid of them. So I just,
No, of course you can't.
I hold on to them.
Though, aren't they? They've got memories of, when you were younger, and, sometimes it's good. I don't have mine. My first thing that I knitted was a scarf, obviously. And then first thing I made was a mint green and white knitted short sleeve sweater.
Oh, wow. So you just dove right into it.
Yeah. Because my grandmother and my mother knitted, although my dad taught me to knit because I'm left-handed, and my mum just couldn't do it. But my gran had taught my dad to knit, so that's where it came. That's where I got it from.
Oh, that's fantastic that they passed it on to you. See,
Yeah.
no one in my family crocheted or did anything with yarn. So my sisters and I were kind of the only ones, but my sisters were like, well, I'm doing that in school and that's it. And I was the one who kind of
doing it at home.
obsessively.
I want to go out and play. I want to do other things.
Yeah. So no, I was the only one that was like, I just want to crochet all the time. So
I know. So the other part of the question was, what are your favorite items to make and what's your favorite yarn?
Oh, my favorite items to make change a lot. I like to make quick things that are simple. I like when projects make sense. I guess I'll say mathematically, like when all the math makes sense or it just aligns in a certain way. I love that. So whether I'm making a bag or a sweater, you and I were talking off camera beforehand about, crocheting clothes and having different sizes. And there's something about, that progression. And it's almost like a puzzle piece, kind of making things fit. So anytime I can do that in a project, it really just brings me so much joy. Again, the category doesn't matter.
So what I was just going to drop it. When you're designing something and you know that it's going to be something else, do you think then, that I could change that into that and maybe take that out and put that in and maybe do this differently or whatever?
Yes. So I do that a lot. One of the reasons I even started writing patterns is that, when I learned to crochet, I didn't learn how to read patterns. I didn't know that was a part of crochet. I was just doing what I was taught. And so I couldn't read patterns until I was 25. So I crocheted my entire life, just kind of making things up. So I would write patterns because I would do something and I'd want to replicate it. So I'd write down what I did. And so so that was just how I learned. I learned backwards. So now that I can read patterns now, I really find so much more joy in just kind of coming up with whatever I want to come up with, since that was how I learned. I learned that kind of free form crochet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just comes naturally to me.
And your yarn, what's your favorite yarn?
That one's always a hard question for me because that changes all the time. But I love the weight 4 category. So if it's in the weight 4 category, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna enjoy working with it.
Yeah.
And that could be acrylic, it could be cotton, it could be wool. But I do like that weight.
You like that weight.
Yes.
I'm a 3 and a 2. I love 3 and 2. They're my favorites. 2, if I'm
a struggle for me. 3, I'll work with 3. I don't mind it, but 2 it's a little bit it's more laborious for me.
Yeah. We're all different. My favorite yarn is cotton. Cotton or cotton acrylic. Yeah.
Cotton acrylic or cotton blends are pretty fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're lovely.
Yeah, they are.
So since starting your channel, what changes have you seen within the fiber community, since you started your channel? What changes have you seen?
I don't know if this was before or after. I'll just say Facebook Live. I'll just say that. But I think that when my channel started, there was less live content, I'll say.
Yes,
so
there was.
At the time, a lot of people were pre-recording things. Maybe you didn't even have a smartphone. I mean, so you were at a camcorder. And I think that since I've started the channel, I actually kind of abandoned the channel for a really long time because I really enjoyed doing live videos on Facebook. And so I spent quite a few years doing that. So that was kind of a major shift for me. And then I feel that recently, over the last few years, I really enjoy following people on YouTube that They have lots of different kinds of content. Maybe they pre-record, maybe they go live, maybe it's a tutorial, maybe it's a chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really enjoy that there's so many different types of video in that sense.
Yeah.
So I think that that's been a change that, maybe everyone else realized it, but it took me a really long time to realize that I think YouTube can have lots of different kinds of video content. It doesn't have to be just one kind.
No. And there's so many different ways to bring the information to the community as well.
Yes.
Each content creator brings something totally different to the community as a whole, which is, I only joined the crochet community not last October 2020.
Wow.
So
you're very new.
Even in that small space of time, because I was very much part of the mixed media community. So there was, it was just videos. And then when I joined the crochet community and I saw all these lives, I was like, what? Yes. And it was nice to interact, and everybody's so friendly, and the support and the help as well, within the community is just amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if there is anybody that's not nice or doesn't play nice, I think we stamp it out immediately. Like, nope.
Not having that.
Not here.
Not here.
Not
no,
today.
Definitely no. No llama no llama drama, as my Magenta V would say. So obviously we were in lockdown, weren't we? How did that affect your channel and how you're crocheting and whatever? How did that affect? Did it affect it at all, or did you just continue on?
Yeah. So, I think at that time there were a lot of, there were personal things in my life that were difficult. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to escape more, so to just kind of crocheting more and being online more. But my focus was less being, this personality in front of people. Like it was really hard for me for like a year. Like I just couldn't do it, to where before the pandemic, and it wasn't just the pandemic, it was a few things, but before the pandemic, I was just, I'll look at videos of myself and I'm like, who is that girl? Where did she get that energy and that optimism? Like, I don't even know, like, I don't know that girl anymore. And not that I'm like,
who is she?
I don't know who she is. I don't, but not that I, don't have optimism or, I'm cynical or anything like that, but I just feel like I'm coming out of something. And so, I want to be with people and I want to interact with people more, so to where for a long time, I didn't know how to interact with people anymore. It was like, I lost touch with that. And so that was really hard for me because I felt so sure of who I was, especially in this space.
Yeah.
And then for a while, I really lost that. So I feel like I'm coming back into a new version of myself. I don't know if I'll ever be that optimistic, firefly that I was.
And I think
maybe that's okay.
I think the pandemic and being on lockdown and that affected so many people, and so many channels started up.
Oh yeah,
so many YouTube channels, especially in the crochet community, started up. I already had my channel, before I joined the community, so my channel's been going for a while.
Yes.
But it's once I hit the crochet community or joined the crochet community, then it just exploded really. But and I think the lockdown affected so many people in so many ways. I mean, during lockdown, for me personally, I was in the mixed media community, and it really made me sit back and think to myself, because I was knitting and crocheting as well, don't get me wrong, but the main focus of my channel was mixed media. And one day I just turned around and I said to Rick, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore.
Mm.
And he looked at me and he said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, my face, love, my crocheting and my knitting. And I've not looked back. And I think, I mean, people in the chat, and I'm sure they will agree that, you know, kind of things, not only in the community, but in their own private life as well, things changed, and maybe it gave time to reflect and look back at what they're actually doing as well, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel like there was definitely a pause in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
And I think that we were forced to just kind of sit.
Yeah, we were forced to stay in.
Literally and figuratively, I felt like I just had to sit with some things.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, everybody coming in. Thank you for joining us. This is Salena, if you don't know, but this is the lovely Salena Baca, who's agreed to interview today. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody for coming in and being here. And we will get to you shortly. So I've only got one more question to ask you. We've raced through them, Salena. What advice would you give your younger self if you was to start your channel today?
And even though I've been sitting with this, I just feel like I could talk on this for an hour. So I'm really trying to distill down.
No, it's not just, you know.
I would say don't be, you know, I was really afraid to try different things for a long time. It took me a really long time to do things that I wanted to do, but I didn't think people wanted it. You know, for example, you know, I said before I didn't do live videos on YouTube for a really long time, and I only did them on Facebook. And I think that, you know, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of really good conversations that I had on Facebook that I wish that I did have them on YouTube. You know, I feel like there were some good tips, there was good advice, and they were just really fun conversations. And I think that just limiting what I was doing and how I was doing it just to one place that I thought it would fit, you know, because I didn't think it would work on YouTube, or I wasn't sure how it would fit. You know, I wish that was something that I realized much sooner. So don't be afraid to try things, and don't be afraid to think outside of what everyone else is doing, and to do things that you enjoy, that you think will work. Because maybe you're doing something different than what everybody else is doing, but maybe that's the new trend. And I don't mean trend and you should be trendy, but, you know, maybe it's a preferred way of doing things. Yeah. And maybe you're the first one to come up with it. So
yeah, exactly. And I always think as well that, you know, when you do your tutorials, let's face it, Salena, there are millions of tutorials out there.
Yes.
And not everybody can follow the same person tutorial wise. You know, you can try 3 different, you know, content creators with tutorials, and, you know, and you might only get one of them that you really click what she's saying, how she's doing it, whatever, you know, and because we all have different ways of learning as well, don't we?
Yes.
And that I'm very much a visual, even though I'm left-handed. I can't watch a left-handed tutorial. I have to watch right-handed, because I was taught by a right-handed person, you see. So
yes,
that's that. So and I agree with what you've said as well. Don't be frightened to try something new. Doesn't matter, you know, if you get 1 or 2, you know, as time goes on, you know, it will, you know, it will, and word of mouth. Oh, have you seen so-and-so's done this? Go and check it out. And it's always been by word of mouth and by visiting lives as well, being part of lives that helps you grow as well.
I think that it's a good way for people to, you know, I always say this, but, you know, for people to know, like, and trust you. And, you know, however you do that, and I think video is a really good way to do that. I think that it's a really good way for you to connect with people in that way. And yeah, you can only, I'm sure if we were to Google or go to YouTube and say, you know, how to do a double crochet stitch, just for example, I'm sure we'd find 10 million videos. And so, and that's
fine.
It is fine, because I think that the beauty in that is that, you know, yes, you're looking for information, but you're also possibly looking for a community of people just like yourself. So maybe you'll find that in how someone does their tutorial and their personality. So that's important.
It is. It is. And what Ashley from Sunflower Creative Showcase, she said she was downright afraid of shawls until she followed Ursula from OM Granny Square's Count My Blessings video, and she made it so incredibly easy to follow. Exactly. And we all have our own way of teaching.
Yes.
And my way of teaching may not be suitable for Ashley, but Ursula might be able to follow it. Do you understand? So everybody has an opportunity. And I think the way patterns have been written, both knitting and crochet, have changed so much over the years. I mean, I've got old knitting patterns that I used to do, and I get the new patterns from today, and I'm thinking the change is unbelievable how they're written and that. So
oh yes.
And so guys in the chat, if you've got any questions for Salena, please pop them in the chat. I would totally, I'm sure Salena will answer any of your questions. And
I love questions.
Jeannie, Jeannie from Butterfly Dreams says the crochet community should be about building each other up, motivating, encouraging, and inspiring one another. Exactly, Jeannie. And I know you always say that, sweetheart, and I totally agree with you 100%. We are all here to share, to help one another, and to grow as a person as well within our chosen hobby, if you would, you know, whether you knit or crochet, or you do macrame, or you do diamond painting, or whatever, cross stitch, you know. It's nice to be able to grow, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, again, like we're human. We like connection. We like social spaces. And so I think that, you know, even though something like crochet can be, you know, just kind of it's just you and your yarn kind of thing, you know, we're still social, and we want to share that with other people. So it's nice to be nice and to get along and to be kind to people.
Yeah. And Jeannie said, do you have any new books coming out?
I do. I was just editing it this morning. It's going to be big. It's a long book. Oh. Yes. So my next book should be coming out later this year. I don't have more information than that, but it is going to be a learn how to crochet book. And it's definitely from my perspective. It's how I teach. So it's everything that you need to know. So the first part of the book is going to be a technique book. So it's everything that you need to know. And then the second part of the book are patterns to help you learn how to crochet. So it's very big. Like I said, I was just editing it again this morning. And I'm just really excited about how much information is in here. Yeah. And I can't wait to share more.
Great. And Jeannie just said that it should never be about competition. We all love the same thing: crochet, knitting, yarn, and hooks. Exactly. We're all yarnaholics, guys.
That's right.
We're all yarnaholics.
I think that if you feel that you're in competition, I think you're only doing yourself a disservice. I think it's all about collaboration, no matter who you are, what you're doing. You know, even though I have a YouTube channel and I write patterns and I teach, some of my greatest friends in the crochet world do the same thing. Yeah. And we never look at it as competition, even if we have some of the same things sometimes. Yeah. You know, I have a double crochet beanie, you have a double crochet beanie. But again, I think that it's about people just connecting with you and enjoying your space. And some people may enjoy someone else's space more than yours. And that's fine,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. You can't. Yeah. I mean, you can't make people like you. So
No,
if they
you
like
can't.
something else, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So-
And Ashley said, let me see where it is. Where's your question gone, Ashley? Oh, here we are. What's your favorite type of crochet objects to make?
Oh, well, right now it's probably crochet bags. I've got a few of them right here that I've been working on. Like, for example, I'm working on a crochet along right now with the I Like Crochet community. You can find them on Facebook. But I really love bags, and I love different construction types. I love to come up with different styles. I love to use different yarns and different stitches and different colors. I just think when it comes to bags, like, you can get really exciting with colors and stitch patterns and
And you
things
can
like
go
that.
all the way out, can't you? And that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's saying they're looking forward to your book. And Maribel says she tries to catch your lives.
Oh, I'm
She
so
loves
glad. Thank
listening
you.
to you. You exude peace and kindness.
I
And
try real hard.
Bridget says she agrees 100%. There is room for all in the fiber arts community. Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Trish says, hold on. She says, that's true, Jeannie. We should always treat each other with kindness and generous support. Yeah. Just wondering if you're a pencil holder or a knife holder.
Oh, gosh. I don't know why this is hard for me. I'm like, I have to put it in my hand. I'm a pencil holder. No.
Okay. Knife.
Why is this hard for me? Like, I have to put it in my hand, and really, I had to pick up a crochet hook and put it in my hand. That's how I am. So that's a knife.
A pencil holder does that.
Pencils like this. I'm a knife holder. Oh my God. You think I just learned yesterday? That was a hard question. I thought you guys were going to be easy on me today. God.
Can I drop the link for her book she has now? Yes, you can, Jeannie. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, Jeannie. You're an awesome mod. Thank you. Beautiful bag, they're saying. Your bag is beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you have... Oh, hello, Priscilla. Welcome in. Do you have a software or program that you use to design a charted pattern?
No, the programs that I like to use best are Pages or Excel, so some kind of spreadsheet type program.
Oh yeah.
And then whenever I do my writing, I just do that on a like a Word document or like a Pages document.
Yeah, I use Word documents.
Yes.
Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome in, Priscilla. Thank you for your questions, everybody. Andrea says, do you have a book or tutorials on overlays? I am loving the way the overlay crochet looks and would love to create granny squares with it. Oops. But it always seems to start in the round.
Interesting. So overlay, is that like surface crochet, things like that? To where you have fabric, but then you're crocheting something on top of it, like with maybe slip stitching or something like that?
Can you tell us, give us a bit more information, Andrea, please, and we will help you with that.
Let me know if that's what you mean, or something else.
Jeannie's put, wait, enabler alert is about to drop. Thank you. Hi, Marsha Lee. Welcome in. Yeah, everybody. Oh, I can't thank you enough, guys, for being here. Everybody's saying hello. Overlay can be similar to mosaic. Right.
Interesting. It's my understanding that those two things are different techniques, and mosaic is a kind of color work crochet to where you're doing different things with colors and stitches depending on what color you have or what stitch you're making. I will say, if it's any kind of color work, it is not my favorite. So I am not an expert in color work. But I will plug the American Crochet Association, the ACA, right now, because one of the main reasons I created the ACA was that, again, when I learned, it was make this. I didn't know what I was making. So I put together a 12-course program that's kind of like getting a degree in crochet. It's kind of like an associate's degree in crochet. So if you're not sure what something is, like overlay crochet or mosaic crochet, there's just a general introduction to at least describe those things and give you information. So that's the extent of my expertise on that, or just what I developed for the ACA. But if you are looking for expert information on those, probably the first place I would start would be Ravelry. I love Ravelry because you can find very specific patterns based on skill or technique or ability, like mosaic. And then maybe you can find a pattern that you really like. And what I think is the case most times is that if you find a pattern, there might be a person that has a book or tutorials from there. So if you really find a design that you like, a lot of times, like Tony Lipsy is a fantastic example of someone who has fantastic patterns on a technique, but then also has a book and tutorials that you can follow.
Yeah. And Andrea said she's using Annie's mandala Afghan crochet pattern, and I like the various stitches and colors.
Yeah, something like that, working up a project and just, that project being packed with color work and techniques and things like that. That's a really fun way to just try different things and learn and build your skills.
Maribel says you can overlay on crochet items. Thank you for dropping the link, Jeannie. Trish says she loves Ravelry also. It rocks. Yes, I do too. And that the second book will build your skills crochet. Where did I put them books? Oh, yeah. There's these 2 books as well. Yes, which I think
I do. I have 7 so far. So the one that's going to be out this year is going to be number 8.
So I've got this one, which is what Jeannie has dropped.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
And then and this is the Lion Brand one.
That's right.
I'm sure I had another one. I'm sure I had the weekend one. I can only find.
That's right. Crochet in a Weekend. I think I have my copy right over here.
Yeah, I think if you show me it, I might.
Here, I've got that many right here.
Oh yes.
Crochet in a Weekend.
I think I
29 quick to stitch sweaters, tops, shawls, and more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all 7 of them, you can find them on Ravelry. I like to list all of the designs and I connect them to the title just so you can see exactly what's in the book. And you should be able to find them anywhere books are sold.
Yeah, and Michelle said she enjoyed the Artisan Afghan.
Oh, I'm so glad. That was a lot of fun to make. Speaking of skill builder projects, that was one of them.
Yeah, and Marsha Lee says she has both of your books on her Kindle, Crocheting a Weekend Afghan, and also the cardigan one.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hello, welcome in, Sam. Angela says I've made several projects from your 2 Simple Shapes 26 crochet cardigans, tops and sweaters book. So much fun. I can't wait to see what you come up next. And V says she's got that book. Trish says, I just recently started reading patterns, so I'm looking forward to checking out those books. Excellent.
Yeah.
The 4th book is called Crochet in a Day, 42 Fast and Fun Projects.
That's right.
Thank you, Jeannie. So thank you for dropping the link. So has anybody else got any more questions for Salena? Sorry, Samantha. So everybody's gone quiet. The 5th book is market bags. You've even done a book on bags.
I do. Here, I've got it right here. Like I said, I have 7 of them. I've published 7 books so far. So here's my market bag book. Yeah, this one came out, I think, last year. So this is just a tiny booklet. There are 10 bag patterns in here. 10 completely different All different constructions, all different shapes, all different sizes.
And Julie said everybody's on Amazon now.
Yeah.
How long have you been crocheting for, Salena, says Samantha?
Oh gosh, I think this is year 35. And that's just because, I know that because I started when I was 5. So 35 years of crochet experience.
You're only a youngster.
Right? Brand new.
I've been crocheting 40 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And knitting for a lot longer than that. The 6th book is the link for Crochet for Christmas.
Well, thank you for linking. That was actually my first book that I authored. Was Crochet for Christmas. Yeah.
And Marshallee, who is Seeing Stitches Creations, she's blind, and she crochets, and she asks, have you ever tried crocheting with a blindfold?
No, Marshallee, I think we've chatted a few times in the past. You sound very familiar. I don't think I've ever blindfolded myself, not that I recall. And actually, there are very few things that I can do without actually looking. So even when I'm kind of, when I'm watching TV or if I'm doing something else, I still have to glance down. I think that if I had to blindfold myself, I would have a great deal of difficulty.
Yeah, I would.
Working anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually Marshallee challenged me to do a knitting blindfold, and I did it because I don't look at my knitting when I'm watching telly or whatever, talking, and that I don't literally sit and watch every stitch, but I can't do it in crochet because I have to look at my stitching. Priscilla from Distinctive Crochet says, what advice could you give for someone who wants to write a crochet pattern book? That's a good question, that, Priscilla.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think that a great deal of crochet patterns, if you want to, a pattern book means it's something new in the crochet community. And so I think that one of the best things we can do to stand out and be valuable is to really assure that our crochet skills are as well as they can be. I think education is really important, especially since so many of us are self-taught or it's passed down to us in some way. There were stitches that I didn't know what they were called. There were stitches that I thought I was making up that already had a name. There were stitches I was working that was something completely different. For a long time I was doing clusters when they were actually baubles. Those two things are not the same.
No, they're not.
I didn't, no, they're not the same. For the longest time, I didn't understand stitch counting. So like chain 3 for the longest time, or chain anything as a starting chain. I always thought that never counted as a stitch. And so the way I wrote my patterns reflected that, but didn't articulate that. And so I think that, when I was talking in the beginning a little bit about how I didn't know how to read patterns, so I only, wrote my own patterns based on what I knew. I mean, those first patterns that I did, with my 20 years of crochet experience were not for a universal audience. In that people would read them and go, this is not right. This does not make sense. And so I think one of the best things that I have done to really boost my crochet career and to be a successful pattern writer is to just build as much knowledge and skill as possible. And now I say that not saying like you need to be at the expert level. You don't need to write patterns unless it's an expert level pattern. That's not what I mean, but just having a basic level of crochet knowledge and understanding and being able to articulate that in a way that a universal audience can read and follow and understand. It doesn't matter if you're writing easy level patterns or expert level patterns, and a universal audience can follow it. So start with education at a universal level.
Yeah. And Sheila, she says, did you find it hard to get your first book published, and how did it happen?
Ooh, well, I remember crocheting for quite some time. And then I think in my late 20s, mid to late 20s, I remember seeing a crochet book and trying to follow it, and there were mistakes in it. And I remember feeling really frustrated and feeling like, well, maybe I can work with this publisher and maybe I can write patterns, right? Or I do write patterns, and I have a process that doesn't have errors like this. So maybe I can, kind of pitch my idea to this publisher. So I'm saying that because I thought, well, maybe anyone can write crochet books, right? And I was turned down. I had a lot of pitches that were turned down for a really long time. I don't think I had a book published for years and years and years after that. And that was me actively trying to publish a book. And so when I finally got my first book deal, it was after years and years and years of pitching ideas, but also like fine tuning my skill and ability.
Yeah.
So I think that I probably got about 50 no's before I got a yes over years and years. And so that's why I feel like the thing that really changed for me was using universal terms and formats. And then I think publishers enjoyed that, because if people are following your patterns, or if people are reading your patterns and they can follow them, they're going to be happy. So that's what they were looking for.
Good. And kind of, as they always say, you learn something new every day. And to be knocked back time and time again, the thing is not to give up. If you truly believe in something, never give up.
Yeah. And for me, I never took it as, yeah, I did get a lot of no's. Should that first, my first pitch, if that was taken up as a book, would that be my favorite? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it would be, maybe not. But I'm really, I say this a lot too. For a long time, I thought I was a crochet expert. And then when I started realizing, oh, well, I didn't learn this in a universal way, or I'm calling things a bobble stitch when it's a cluster and things like that. Even now that I've been crocheting over 30 years and I've published books, I don't think of myself as a crochet expert. I think of myself as someone who is on a lifelong journey of crochet mastery. And really, that's just time and effort and skill and ability every single day. Like, it never ends. There's never a point to where you're like, well, this is it, the end all be all. I don't think that ever happens.
No. And even though we've been crocheting for many years, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, new stitches, new way of doing things, and that. So, and that's good. And Granny D, she says she very much admires Marshall and other blind crocheters, knitters. I've tried to find blindfold challenge, and oh my, no, it's not easy. And Jeannie said, it's nice to know someone else learned when they were 5 as well. My grandmother taught me at the age of 5 also. Welcome in, everybody. To everybody in the chat, if I've missed saying hello, and thank you for joining us. We talked before, Salena, I'm in your group and I also on your YouTube channel. She loves your work. I hope you're okay, my sunflower, Ashley. You take care of yourself. You're being an accomplished author and crochet knitter. Would you buy a new beginner pattern, and why?
Would I buy a new beginner pattern? Oh, sure. I like all varieties of things. Can I crochet something that's at an expert level? I love to always say, like, a pineapple lace wedding dress made with thread. Can I make that? Sure. Am I going to? Not, it's not at the top of my list. I really enjoy the beginner and the easy level of things. I like the simplicity in it. I like, I talk a lot about, things, puzzle pieces fitting together and math just making sense. And that's really fun for me. That's one of my favorite things about crochet, is when things line up and, the stitches are all even and uniform. So for me, I often work in those very simplistic levels of crochet. That's fun for me.
Yeah, and some of the I think some of the simplistic patterns can be some of the most beautiful patterns, can't they?
Yes. I find that, I think there's, how do I say this? I'm going to muck it up. It's every stitch, your whole product, your whole project, it's the sum of every stitch. And so for me, I like to focus in on how uniform my stitches are and how even the tension is. And so I think that there's a lot of fun and beauty in that. And so I really enjoy focusing on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks to everybody being here. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And don't forget the thumbs up. Hello, Rebecca. Welcome in. And that's what I like about this community. We've got people from the UK, from South Africa, America, all parts of America, you know, UK even, and that. So hello, Spring. Welcome in. And so I think... Oh, Ashley says she buys patterns even though I don't read them all that well yet. There aren't that many ways to support pattern writers, but every pattern sale matters, and I do intend to learn. And that's good. You take it at your own pace. It's not a rush. It's not a competition. It's just you enjoying what you enjoy doing best. And, you know, there are lots of people out in the community that if you have a problem or you don't quite understand, reach out, and any of us in the community, you know, can help. And that's what I love about that. Do you have pattern testers, and how do you choose your testers?
So I have a Facebook community for the American Crochet Association and Salena Baca Crochet. Typically when I write patterns
below, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Typically when I write patterns, I just go to my community and I ask if anyone would like to test the pattern. I don't need any kind of credentials or resume or anything. I don't need to see work. I think it's important for me to just have testers test, you know, anyone can be a tester. So if you're interested in, you know, you've got the right yarn and the timeline and all that, you can be a tester. Because really when the pattern's released, anybody can, you know, find it and follow it. So I just really want to make sure that anyone who's interested, you know, gets kind of a run through to make sure that it's okay. Yeah. So that's my process. So if anybody wants to test, you're welcome to come over to my community and get started.
And Connie says, do you have any advice on how someone might change their tension without changing the hook or yarn? Is it even possible?
I think it depends on quite a few things. I mean, tension does have a lot to do with the hook and with the yarn. It has a lot to do with how you hold your work. But also, you know, tension has everything to do with what you're working on and even what you're doing when you're working on it. So there's so many variables. For example, if I'm working a weight 4 cotton yarn and I'm watching a show and it's intense, then my stitch work, it may be really tight. So I think that what you're doing and what you're working with, you know, there's a lot of variables in that. If just in general, you would like to work on your tension, I think tension is muscle memory. And it's just the more you practice, the more you're going to be comfortable with how you're holding your hook, how you're holding your yarn, and how you're typically working stitches. So,
and I find as well how you're sitting as well. You've got to be comfortable.
Yes.
To, you know, to do that.
Yes.
And Marshall asked a question: what advice would you give to someone who wants to teach crochet? Where would be a good place to start?
Well, again, you know, shameless shout out to the American Crochet Association. I put together a crochet instructor training program for the American Crochet Association simply because I have taught probably 100 people or more how to crochet throughout my life. And I started out thinking, well, I can crochet, so I can teach people to crochet. And that's those two things are not the same. There's a great deal in difficulty translating what you can do into a teaching curriculum to where someone else can learn. So I did a lot of things wrong. I made a lot of mistakes. And because I just taught for so long, for so many years, with so many dozens and dozens of people, I put together, again, a curriculum. It's just a syllabus. So it's use these patterns to teach these things. This is homework. These are your teaching objectives. These are learning objectives. So I will say that if you would like to become an instructor, that's the number one thing that I think will make a massive difference to help you be a successful teacher, but then also for you to successfully help others to crochet.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's really good advice. Bridget says, I learned to read patterns by finding a pattern that also had a tutorial to go with it. Since learning to read patterns, I can't follow a video anymore. Yes. And I always say, I mean, I've always said it, and people in the chat, when you're watching a tutorial, sit and watch it. Don't crochet along with them. Sit and watch. Take note of what they're doing. Then rewind it and watch it again. And as you're watching it, you're crocheting, but because you've watched it before, it's in here. So you can almost know what they're going to say. And that's the way I watch tutorials. You know, I always watch the tutorial, see what they're doing, make note of it, and then I go and play it again and follow along.
Yes. And that's good advice. And I do the same thing. Even now I can't, it's really not that I can't, it's really difficult for me to just follow one thing. I need to see it. And sometimes a chart helps and sometimes a visual helps. So sometimes I just need lots of different references to really understand.
Yeah. And yeah, it's very true. Stress, how you're feeling can affect your tension. Connie, I train myself to have more consistent tension with a crochet ring. The ones I like are $35 or Search Yarn Tension Regulator for a crochet version. That's very good advice. Thank you for that, Ashley. Yes, and we're about to go now because Granny D is going live, and I don't want to impose on the sweet Granny D. I want to thank you very much, Salena. I hope that you enjoyed this. I know I did. I hope everybody in the chat did. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. You're amazing. And I hope to see you all again next Wednesday. Don't forget, guys, take care, stay safe. But as I always say, be kind to you.